Hey, it's Mac with PriceActionTradingSystem.com, and it's Wednesday. It's March 1st. This will be our chart listing for the day, and we're starting a new month here. Another month in the book. Of course, February's a short month, but it seemed like we were just starting the new year a couple of weeks ago. But things are moving quickly along. Um, I did want to share something with you, just kind of as a heads up. I think I will miss March the 9th through the 12th. I'll be taking a trip, and so I believe the 9th is on a, I believe the 9th is on a Wednesday. Let me just look at my calendar real quick, just to give you a heads up in case I forget before we come into the month. So we're March the 9th. That does look like that's a Thursday and Friday. So won't be any chart lessons on that Thursday and Friday, and I'll be back on Sunday. So we'll be back in the office on Monday the 13th. So anyway, be a short week next week. Again, I won't be in the office at all. So no chart lessons and no mid morning reports on March the 9th and 10th. But I'll give you another heads up between now and then. I just was thinking about it, and I thought I'd start kind of giving you a heads up early. But let's get to the chart lesson here. You can see it looks kind of mixed today. It looks like a range day. And we did trade down and we did close down, but we closed up off our lows, and you'll see that the 2000 tick chart just kind of mirrors this. We had a big down movement that rallied back in, and so it almost looks like a range day. We did have a trend channel that trended down, and you had to close outside the new low, and then but we didn't really rally out of there. We just rallied off the lows. So you'll see that when we flip over. But let's go ahead and flip over. But the daily chart does pretty much mirror that. We closed down and closed much lower than yesterday, but we we still closed way off the lows. So it just kind of validates the type day we'll see on the 2000 tick chart as well. But let's flip over there. And here's our 2000 tick chart. You can see early on we had this big two-tiered channel, which really maybe it was only like this. It still fits pretty well like that as well. It doesn't fit as nice as it did down here, so this is probably more correct. You can clearly see the midline coming into play there, and it even looks valid back here. So, but notice we're trending down. You get a break, move to a new low. We rallied out of there, and then we just kind of chopped around the rest of the day. So, and in the big picture, you can look at the bigger pink channel, and it looks like a range type day. Notice um, we're below the EMA, we're above it, we're below it, we're above it, we're below it, we're above it, we're below it, we're above it. And when you see that during the day, consistently above and below the EMA, no, not consistently below it or not consistently above it, but just consistently swinging back and forth, that's a range day, and that's mixed trading, and that's what we have here. Although you could have played this trend channel as well, at least it would have alerted you to this bounce here. So anyway, you can see it. Quite a few trades today. We did get some second entries with some decent signal bars today. There was a news item in here that I marked the time out. You couldn't really, you needed to be aware of that. That came in at 9 o'clock. Some kind of manufacturing, but anything economic that's high volatility red in right now, pay attention to it. So anyway, 7 o'clock came in this downtrend here. Just not much of a chance to get into it. There was a move lower here, but really no chance to get into it. And then of course we rallied up, got a close outside, tried to make a new high, and had another second entry right here. I like that trade. You're just looking for a scalp, and maybe you'll get another leg down like this one. I think you do get a measured leg, but you don't. It rallied so high, it's not like you really went much lower. No, we didn't quite get it there, but that was what you were hoping for. But quick, easy scalp, nothing more. Just two sideways in the rest of this. We did get a triple test here, but I'm a little leery of that. Not a good enough signal bar there. Let me zoom in a little more. That was really tempting, and it would have worked. But notice that the next bar is an inside bar and it doesn't break higher. That pretty much just tells you you're congested there, and so I don't think that's worth trading. This one was an interesting one that maybe you took. It's just a first entry on a breakout. I would have liked to seen a lower high or something, and you do get a lower high here, but by that time it looks congested. I don't think you want to enter there. Then of course it doesn't break lower either. You get another inside bar, which is never a good idea, and you see it doesn't go far before it bounces out of there. I didn't mark this trade. It was very tempting, and it was one you might take because we did make a higher low here with two legs of correction, and that's generally the center of a pattern. So there's a good chance you're going to get a measured move here at a minimum, and you can see we made a nice measured move and then corrected a little bit before going even higher. So you might have taken that trade right there. It's just a first entry. It does look a little congested, but it's a breakout pullback. But because of the two leg correction here that makes a higher low, there's a good chance you're going to get that measured move. So it is one to think about. We run up here and we turn down right here. And this pretty much sets the trend line. No chance to really get short here. There's a lower high here, but it's not anything you want to take. You expect a retest of this high. Notice prices try to go back and retest it. Fail, and they pretty much confirm the trend line there, but no setup. And then we push lower and come back. And all this, of course, is in the news. And then, of course, now it's obvious this trend line's in play right here. It's a shame that we couldn't get a chance to trade some of this because there's some nice trades in there. And we did get a really nice move down here. There's another second entry right here, right off the key entry point. That's not a very good signal bar on my chart. If you had a little better signal bar here, take that trade because it's a second entry right off the key entry point, and what we see is an obvious downtrend. You get another one here, but that's just too congested across there, and you can see it bounces. And it runs back, and we get in this next trend channel, and notice what happens. We're trending up. We get a close outside, move to a new high. We try to go higher once, twice. So you got a failed second entry long there, which is not really a setup we're looking for. But when you combine that with this new low and a first entry and a second entry with a decent signal bar, it's like 5 ticks, plenty of room back to the EMA. I like that trade. And it's a good chance we could take off lower. It doesn't happen. We do get a couple of legs down and then bounce here. And here you have a failed breakout. It's a little congested. We're in a downtrend anyway, although we've been going sideways for a little bit here. So there's a good chance it's going to at least come back up here, back inside the channel. So maybe you take that trade. You're looking to say, hey, prices maybe come back and test this or test the trend line. And they actually just keep going here. Unfortunately, I don't see anything else I'd be willing to get long on until here. You come back and get a first entry and then a second entry. And nice signal bar there. So maybe you take that trade. I went back and forth about that one. The thing is, it looks like it could be some sideways here. And there's not a lot of room back to the top. So this one, really, you could go either way. I liked it in real time, but it's, looking back at it, it's a little aggressive. All you would have got out was a scalp. And then, of course, we're coming back down. And then now this really looks like a range. I didn't put it inside there, but you can clearly see there's sideways action here. So you don't want to go short right there into a double bottom. And it's tempting to go long right there, but you got this channel working now, and you see it quickly acts, and then you get a break and a move to a new low. Unfortunately, this is an inside bar. This is one you might still take. If it wasn't so close to that support right there, I'd say maybe you take that because it's probably going to make a new low. But you don't know that for sure because of that triple bottom across there. We did just break through, so we probably cleaned out a lot of the stops and things, and so there's a good chance it could go a little lower this time. I'd wait on a lower high, and we get that, but there's no room there, and this looks a little congested. And really what happens is this just accelerates into a steeper down channel. And again, I just don't see any way to get in this thing down through here, and the next thing you know, you get a close outside, move to a new low, and then we bounce down here. Now that's the low of the day where we bounce. and there's a lot of sideways stuff. That's a really nice bar. And notice we did get the break of the trend line and the new low here, so there's a good chance we can reverse. There's actually, I never did come back and put this on there, but there's actually a shorter term channel up through here too. This was really tempting, but it's just so sideways. And of course, the higher low here, I still think you need to wait on a reversal pattern, and we never get it. It just keeps going higher until we start trying to go lower. Notice we get 3 attempts right there, a nice signal bar. I like going long there, and if you didn't go long there when it breaks lower and gives you a higher low and turns back up, you could actually enter that on the engulfing bar. I'd probably wait for this bar to close. I like going long there for sure if you didn't go long here. And either one of them probably would have given you a runner. And it takes off. There's another second entry here, but that looks, I mean, you got 3 bars. 2 of them have no bodies, basically. You're just kind of, you didn't get to the upper side, but you haven't come back to the trend line. You know, you're kind of in no man's land there. So I don't think that's worth risking there. If you had a little better signal bar or 2 clear legs back, maybe you take that. We run up here. It looks like we get an overshoot, then we start working sideways. You might look at that as a failed breakout and a second entry, because this is pretty much a double top, but it's not perfect. And so I'm thinking wait on a higher low, and you get that right here. I don't know that you trade it on the engulfing bar, but maybe you go long there. If you got room to get out, take it right there. You could take it on the engulfing bar too. And then it fails out the top with no entry. Really, you could have almost just extended this across here. But to me, we were finding more support up here a little higher, so I just kind of adjusted it, and I just left the old channel and started the new one here, because you can see we get quite a few bounces across there. So, but really, in the big scheme, I think it's really still here. So no matter, regardless of which way you saw it, you could play it either way. And then this just went a little higher here. It just kind of expanded some. So, and you might have even brought this one down a little more, like so. You can still see that's the same channel. But we're just chopping along here. This one's tempting, but I just wasn't sure about it. You can see there's one but nobody, and we're just kind of working sideways there. Another drop and a lower low here that you could look like, hey, maybe it's a failed break lower, but not enough stem. Then you get a higher low and still got more stem on it below the EMA there and the midline. It would have worked, but here's the better one. It comes up and makes a triple test here, and it's also a second entry short by the count. There's clearly a couple of legs up there. I like that one. Then there's a lower high here with still plenty of room back. This one is a little congested. It's real close. You could argue for it to be green maybe, but I liked it because we've been going back and forth here. And this thing this time drops on down, runs down. You get a first entry, and then it turns back higher. So when it breaks lower there, that's a second entry short. Runs down, bounces, and you get a first entry and another second entry. This one is a little congested, but this is an obvious key entry point. It's right at the EMA 2, and even though this doesn't break higher, it still makes that 2-bar matching low, so it's still like a higher low right there. And when it breaks lower, you can count that as a second entry and take that. Then you come over here and you bounce again. You actually go outside this time. You try to go higher once, twice. It's tempting to go short right there, and this is a good example of why you got to be a little careful, because we didn't make the new high. Same thing here. This was the risk you take on this one. There's a good chance you're going lower here, but you did get a break here, and it's not clean like this one, still inside the EMA and the key entry point, the trend line. See, we got outside of it here, so it turns out to be just a little congested area, and then we go lower. And even going lower by that time now, it's just too congested, and you can clearly see the little congestion area by that point. So I don't think you want to enter there at that point in time. It worked, but I think you need to wait. And of course it comes back, and now you get a triple test with a nice signal bar and another clear second entry. I like that one. The second entry probably wouldn't have been enough here by itself after we've already had a break and a new low. But the fact that there's a triple test across there as well, we're probably going to come test this low again. And you can see that's what happened. We actually moved much lower here. We dropped on down. Then you got another second entry short right off the midline again. There's actually one here, but that's too sideways. This one's clearly 2 legs back, so I like it. There's a lower high here, but it's starting to look congested again and not a very good signal bar. It would have worked, but I don't think you want to risk it. And you don't want to be trying to pick any bottom, so you got to wait till you get something clear here. And notice what happens. You're running up here and you actually confirm the trend line here, and you come back, and you by that time you get a first entry, and then there's a second entry long. There's still a little sideways, a little late in the day. It's not real clear that we're reversing. It doesn't look like a good strong reversal, but it's still a second entry long right off the key entry point. It's been confirmed as a key entry point, so maybe you take that trade, because you may catch the reversal and you might be able to trade, ride this all the way into the close going higher. Sometimes that'll happen. In this case, it did continue to go higher, but not real strongly. So there's no way you probably would have wanted to ride this out with a runner if you caught one. So, and you wouldn't take any trades out here. So, and that took us into 230. So a little better trading today, a little more straightforward. It's still kind of a choppy range day, but you got some real clear trends, some nice second entries, things like that. So, I mean, there was some opportunity today to spot some nice trades where we didn't have that yesterday. And maybe it was just my chart yesterday. Maybe some of you had some good signal bars on a few of those yesterday where we did have a setup and just didn't get a signal bar. But generally the charts are relatively similar, so I don't know that that was the case or not, but sometimes it happens. But today was much better, so a little bit easier. Somebody sent me an email saying, how do you trade yesterday? And it's just hard to trade. Really, the only thing you could do is trade the trend channels, and if you get some strong support or resistance where you get a triple test that's gets you back in with the trend, expecting it to go higher, maybe you take that. But it's just hard to trade, and there's no secret I can tell you, or something to look for really specific, other than what I just told you. You have to trade the trends within it and hope you get some setups, and if you don't, you just sit tight. And so that's why there weren't many trades yesterday. But anyway, there's today, and this is how I saw it. Again, I think in the end, you just wanted to play this as a range. Early on, you play this trend, and then once we made this new low, just play it as a range. Just play these trends back and forth, because you don't know. It may end up taking off higher or lower here. It doesn't, but it could have. So just play the short-term trends and any ranges, short-term ranges if you get a good opportunity on it. But anyway, that's how I saw it today. So I'm going to wrap it up. We'll be back again to do it tomorrow. And believe it or not, at the end of the week tomorrow, we'll wrap up our week. No chart lessons on Friday. So tomorrow's our Friday basically for chart lessons. But anyway, I'm done for the day. This is Mac with PriceActionTradingSystem.com. And we'll see you next time.